Hi, welcome to Ask a Parliamentarian. This is episode 10, and we are focusing today on what is a parliamentarian. And my name is Wendy Bagley. I am a member of the National Association of Parliamentarians. My mission is to help people find their voices and engage in society using the tried and true principles of parliamentary procedure. And so I've been putting on this Ask a Parliamentarian for about the last 10 weeks, with little bits along the way, just to teach people a line at a time, precept on precept. I focus these lessons primarily on Robert's Rules of Order. The 12th edition is the most current edition, and it's the one with this white cover here. Now, keep in mind that Robert's Rules of Order covers because it's been around for so very long, over 100 years, that there are many, many books published that say Robert's Rules of Order. But the official Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised, is this particular version. As you can see, it was written by Henry and Robert III, who is a descendant of the original Henry Roberts, who's the Robert's Rules. So I have a class that goes into that more in detail. But for the purposes of this session tonight, I just wanted to let you know that these are the two books that I base my information off of primarily. When I answer questions, I will use these two. Oops, I'm sorry about that. Okay. And this other book here, the yellow one, Robert's Rules in Brief, is a fabulous brief resource. It is the only authorized concise guide to Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised. The Robert's Rules of Order, the one on the left, the white one, is pretty thick and contains all the rules of parliamentary procedure. The one on the right, within about between 30 minutes to 90 minutes, it can give you a good crash course in how to participate in a meeting and how to conduct if you've never done that before. So it's an excellent, excellent book, and I highly recommend it. When I refer to either of these two books and on my screenshot, my slides, when I'm referencing the white one, it's RONR, 12th edition. When I'm referencing the yellow one, it's RONRIB, Ronrib, 3rd edition. Okay. Now, for our mini lesson today, I decided to focus on what is a parliamentarian, because a lot of people that I have talked to have no clue what a parliamentarian is. When they say, so what's your work? What do you do? I say, I'm a parliamentarian. They're like, what? And so usually I think in people's minds, they think of this. They think of, someone in a wig from Parliament in UK, the United Kingdom, or a librarian, or kind of a combination, a mashup of the two. In reality, a parliamentarian, in the terms that we're using it, is very much an American term. And in Wikipedia, it says, in the United States, a parliamentarian is an expert on parliamentary procedure who advises organizations and deliberative assemblies. So those could be government assemblies, but more often than not, it is the type of parliamentary procedure that we use Robert's Rules for is for private organizations or maybe quasi-governmental organizations. Typically organizations that have bylaws that have used Robert's Rules as their parliamentary procedure. We'll go in a little bit more in just a little bit about different types of rules, or the rules that there's two main organizations in America, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry. Okay, let's go to what does a parliamentarian do? So first and foremost, a parliamentarian is a counselor or an advisor, a professional advisor who will work with organizations on parliamentary procedure and their rules. Particularly, one thing that we do is we help draft bylaws. We help read and understand and explain the bylaws of an organization to its officers and its members. We will help draft revisions, do the wording for that. And then not just the bylaws, but standing rules and other types of rules that go along with that. So we help help presiding officers and members of an organization prepare for meetings, especially prepare for conventions. One thing that we can do is we can help create a script for the person who will be presiding at a meeting or a convention, so that they have the words that will help them conduct the meeting in a very efficient and fair and balanced manner, using Robert's rules, using parliamentary procedure. And actually, I really enjoy that. That's been really fun. We can also draft agendas and minutes, and I've been doing that literally since I was a teenager. No joke. In church, I had an opportunity for about 6 years as a youth leader to conduct weekly meetings. And, I had some fabulous leaders who taught us how to write an agenda, how to do minutes, how to organize our information. Now, they didn't teach me Robert's Rules of Order. That was something that I came across when I was a freshman in college, and I fell in love with it, kind of like Harry Potter on a broomstick. So that's something that I've been doing for quite a while, and I really love it. One thing that we can do is we can serve as presiding officer pro tem. Now, one point I did want to point out, there's some confusion sometimes about this, is that when an organization hires a parliamentarian and that parliamentarian comes to direct the meeting, the parliamentarian does not rule. The only person that has the authority to govern is the person or persons set aside in the bylaws. When a parliamentarian comes in to conduct a meeting, it is pro tem, or in other words, temporary. And it is by virtue of the responsibility delegated to that parliamentarian. So let me share with you an example. Let's say that the parliamentarian who is presiding officer makes a ruling or makes a decision. Well, that doesn't stand. The members and whoever is the chair of the organization, depending on the bylaws, has the final ruling on that. Many cases, a presiding officer, a chairman, or a president will be the one conducting the meeting, will get advice from the parliamentarian. But if somebody comes up and does a point of order, for example, then it is the chair that issues a ruling on that point of order. They can get advice from the parliamentarian, but the parliamentarian does not have the power and authority to do that. And well-trained parliamentarians know that difference. So part of the job, and it goes right along with my teaching heart, we get to train people, members, officers, just general members of the public. And that's why I'm doing these Ask a Parliamentarians, because I love these principles and I want more and more people to understand them and be able to use them. And then finally, I also get a chance to write parliamentary opinions. And just as an example, there was a local political district who had a former member of their organization. She had been removed from the board, and she had, for cause, that it had gone through a process. There was a cause for that. And during the intervening, I think 3 or 4 years, she did not apply again to become a member. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, she claimed that she wanted to run for the legislature in that particular district and was expecting to be able to run in their convention. And their rules stated very specifically that you had to have been a member over the last year. And she was not very happy with that, and kind of said there were some words and some confusion. And so the chairman of that district turned to me and said, "Hey, based on my readings of our bylaws and of Robert's rules, I think she's wrong, but will you let me know?" And so I did a deep dive into what their rules said, into our state code as well, governing political parties, as well as, of course, Robert's rules. And I wrote an opinion, and that, plus the fact that she didn't give very many applauses at the Lincoln Day dinner, I think those things combined, and she decided it was wise not to try to push her way into the political party. She is trying a different way for that same seat, but we'll see how that plays out. So anyway, those are some examples of what a parliamentarian does. So let's move on. So now, really, truly, anybody could be a parliamentarian. Anybody could stand up, just like somebody could stand up and say, hey, I'm a paralegal, or I sell houses, or I sell cars, or there's all sorts of professions or things that people do. Usually when those professions impact people's lives and property, in a significant way, that's when the state steps in and has licensing procedures to say if somebody really truly is, for example, a lawyer. Not just anyone can say, oh, I'm a lawyer. You have to go through the official steps and be admitted to the bar in a particular state in order to be a lawyer and to claim and to market yourself as a lawyer. Well, there are many other professions that don't necessarily have a state law mandating a certification, but there are organizations in the country for the purpose of improving that profession, for improving the quality of that profession, that will put together standards and will do trainings. And the two main ones here in America are the National Association of Parliamentarians, NAP is what we call it, or the American Institute of Parliamentarians, AIP. Both of them are excellent organizations. We'll go into them in just a second. Okay, here we go. So probably the biggest difference between the two is that National Association of Parliamentarians focuses primarily on Robert's Rules. And Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised, those books that I showed a little bit ago, it is used probably 85 to 90% of the country's groups use Robert's Rules of Order. However, the American Institute of Parliamentarians came along and they focus more on, they use Robert's Rules, but they've also brought in other concepts from other parliamentary authorities. So Robert's Rules isn't the only one out there. For example, if you're familiar with watching state legislatures, you probably know that most of them operate according to something called Mason's Rules. And Mason's Rules is a little bit more adapted to governmental legislative bodies that meet for multiple days at a time for many, many weeks. Whereas, of course, private organizations will not meet every single day like that. They will meet maybe once a month or once a quarter or twice a year or once a year, things like that. So so that's how it's explained to me that American Institute of Parliamentarians focuses more on kind of a wider body of parliamentary authority. Over the last several years, though, actually, I'm not sure when it came out, I apologize, but they have put out their own parliamentary authority called Standard Code of Parliamentary Procedure. Now, that is something I haven't studied much on. I do have a goal to do that eventually, but I was encouraged by someone who was the former president of American Institute of Parliamentarians to first focus on NAP, get to know Robert's Rules really well, and then after that, and get my credentialing as far as I can go, and then move over and learn more about AIP. So also just a fun tidbit is that NAP is located in Independence, Missouri, and AIP is located in Schaumburg, Illinois, which is in Cook County, which is Chicago, essentially. So, okay. When we talk about accreditation, it's basically these two organizations set up a system to say, hey, if you can pass this test, we know that you are qualified to be this kind of parliamentarian. And so for NAP, there is the registered parliamentarian level, and then there is a professional registered parliamentarian level. Now, just yesterday, I took the registered parliamentarian test, and it's been a goal of mine for many, many years to become a registered parliamentarian. Actually, I want to go as far as I can, but for the meantime, this was kind of one of the biggest next steps for me. I became a member of NAP back in 2022, and I did take the test last August, and I passed the first part of it, the multiple choice, and I did not pass the second part of it, the written part. And so over the last, half of a year or so, I've studied quite a bit and hoping, hoping I can pass. I do know that I passed the multiple choice part by 91%. And we should find out I should find out within the next few weeks whether or not I passed that written part. And if not, I'll keep going for it. But, yep. And then the next level, it'll take me another year at least to be able to reach the next level, which is professional registered parliamentarian. And that one is less there still is a test that you have to do, less book-based, but more practicum. You have to demonstrate in person that you are able to conduct a meeting and deal with very difficult situations, both as a member, being a member of an organization and getting up and trying to make motions, and then also as a presiding officer and as a parliamentarian. So I'm looking forward to that. That'll be a lot of fun. As far as the American Institute of Parliamentarians, they have very similar type of leveling, certified parliamentarian and then certified professional parliamentarian. So when you see these names after, or these letters after someone's name who says they're a parliamentarian, this is what they stand for: RP, PRP, CP, CPP. And then something I learned also that American Institute of Parliamentarians does is that they have a -T, which means a trainer. So there's additional training that they find it very important. I think it's a good thing to help people know how to train. And so that's something that they do. I did want to mention this. Both organizations came together and initially adopted in 2001 this Code of Professional Responsibility for Parliamentarians, which I think is a fabulous idea. And I just highlighted a couple things here. I really like, they say that the importance of respect for equal justice, the pursuit of truth, and the nurture of democratic principles. Now, I love these, and it says, we regard as essential to these goals the protection of freedom of speech and the guarantee of equal opportunity through the use of parliamentary law. And that's really, really key in my mind. And I've mentioned this in some of my other episodes, is that one of the cool things about parliamentary procedure, it assumes that everybody who is a member of an organization has an equal opportunity to speak, to vote, to make motions, to nominate, all according to, everybody comes together with equal standing and they operate under the same rules. And then letting that process play out, listening to the different sides of motions, pros and cons, and then the organization comes together and takes a vote, makes a decision, and moves on. And that is very, Henry Roberts created his Roberts Rules of Order based on the House of Representatives, and of course, which was based off of the Parliament in Britain. So that's where we get the word parliament from, of course, parliamentarians. But it is a democratic model of government. It's not a top-down model. It's a bottom-up model where everybody has their opportunities and responsibilities, their duties, and it can work together very, very well when there are people that with good faith are trying to do their best and they come together and they all follow the rules. Then decisions can be made and meetings can be very efficient and the organizations can move forward on their purpose. And doesn't mean that drama won't happen. My experience has been in politics. So in political groups, of course, you've always got contention. But by and large, Robert's Rules does a fabulous job at navigating and helping to balance all the different needs of the different groups. Okay, I really do. So as guardians of parliamentary procedure, we play a vital role in the preservation of a democratic society. And so they list, I just did the little screenshot of the first page. They list, first of all, aspirational standards and then conduct standards. And so the aspirational standards are like the shoulds, the desirables, the things that you can't necessarily get docked if you're not assisting and upgrading and improving the profession. But if you're doing things to harm the profession, that goes against some other standards a little bit later on. But I really, really like these that, maintain high professional standards, keep abreast of latest research, promote a spirit of cooperation, professionally responsible practice, fair dealing with colleagues, conduct oneself so as to reflect credit on the profession and inspire the confidence, respect, and trust of clients and the public. Now, unfortunately, I'm sure many of you have had this experience, and I know I have. In fact, one of the reasons why a lot of people get involved in parliamentary procedure in the first place is because they go to a meeting where it's not handled well, whether the presiding officer just does not know Robert's rules at all and it becomes just very chaotic, or maybe there is a parliamentarian or someone who claims to be a parliamentarian who is completely biased and rules very unfairly, and as a result, a good portion of the organization feels like their voices weren't heard at all, that it wasn't fair. So there ends up becoming a lot of mistrust, a lot of conflict, and then the whole organization is affected and it falls apart. So we'll talk a little bit later on as I show you the websites for these different organizations where you can go to make a complaint if necessary. If you see someone who claims to have a certification and they seem to be doing things that are not appropriate. So hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully we continue to encourage people to live up to these standards. That's my goal, at least. This is what I aim for. I'm not perfect at it, but I keep trying. So, okay. At this point, I'd like you guys to take a look at those two, at these two. We're going to actually start with the parliamentarians.org. I am going to, let's see, screen share. And I am going to now go. Hey, tech person, Jeffrey, could you help me for a second? I want to not have full screen. I want to be able to share a tab because I want to go live to the NAP website. Okay.
Not sure.
And I could edit out this part actually in just a little bit because
No one's online.
no one's online. But I didn't send any reminders either, which is fine by me. So.
Okay. So you're trying to get out of this?
Yeah. Do I just stop share or?
Do you want to go?
I want to go back to.
Do you still want to share this?
Oh, go up to that other tab, like open up a new tab. Okay. Thank you. So I am screen sharing. Okay. So we're going to go to. Okay. Sorry. There we go. Okay. Appreciate it. Okay. So we're going to parliamentarians.org. And as you can see, there's the little staff or whatever they call it, the icon of parliamentarians, NAP. I like this, how it says, advancing the principles and practice of democratic decision-making. NAP provides education and resources to facilitate efficient and democratic decision-making processes with the effective use of parliamentary procedure. It's a mouthful, but you get the sense. So, couple things I wanted to share with you guys on this screen. First of all, let's go to, okay, we did that. Okay, I want to go to about what is parliamentary procedure. And we're going to come down just a little bit. I like this, how it says some examples are government and civic organizations, homeowners, not-for-profit, churches, fraternal organizations, unions, etc. I'm really sorry about this. Let's see. Okay. And then, so kind of some of the things that I that I shared just now in the Code of Professional Responsibility. Maintaining the integrity and competence of the profession. Just, okay. We're going to go down. Oops. Okay. Here we go. This is what I wanted to see. Okay. See over here, the National Association of Parliamentarians is globally recognized as the premier provider of parliamentary leadership. Okay. When you're kind of a geek out with words, whether you're a lawyer or a librarian or parliamentarian, you use words and you love them. I love that alliteration. So premier provider of parliamentary leadership. So what National Association of Parliamentarians, it focuses on education, encourages its members and the general public to learn the principles and the practice of democratic decision-making, help teachers instruct people of all ages, from school age all the way up to active professionals to retirees. NAP helps promote collaboration and professional development among parliamentarians. I really enjoyed getting to know different people from across the country in parliamentary procedure in some of the conferences and trainings I've been to. So, and then finally, they provide a widely recognized authoritative professional credentialing of parliamentarians. Okay, we are now going to go back up and we're going to come over to, oh, still in about. I want us to go down to, oh, NAP structure. So there's 8 regional districts, multiple chartered associations. So if it's a state level, it's typically an association. And then underneath the state association, or just individual, if there's no state or association, then there can be individual units. And all throughout North America. Oh, and I did not know that. And China. Interesting. Okay, through the district directors, NAP reaches out to several non-chartered areas. So that's ours. North Dakota does not have a state association yet. That is a goal of mine. I would have loved to have done it a year or 2 ago, but you know what? Well, it's coming along. But we are located in District 5. Let me click on that here, bring it up a little bit more. So this individual here, Laura Mead, she is a professional registered parliamentarian. I think they need to update this because she now is a CPP as well, certified professional parliamentarian. She is our District 5 director. She's also a mentor of mine and has just been fabulous in helping me through my journey of becoming a member and then studying and then taking the registered parliamentarian exam. She kept telling me, you are a rock star parliamentarian. You can do this. District 5 consists of the following states that have chartered associations. There's Kansas, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, and Manitoba. So our region goes all the way up into Canada. And then the following unchartered regions, Iowa, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nunavut, and Saskatchewan. And I happen to know too that Montana next to us, they're in a different region, but they're also unchartered as well. So, okay. And then, so let's go back to about another thing that I wanted to share with you that I thought was really awesome is youth partnerships. So NAP over the last several years has dedicated a standing committee. Now, if you know the difference between a standing committee versus an ad hoc committee, ad hoc is just called for a special purpose. And then when it's done with that report, when it's done with that project or that event, then they disassemble. But a standing committee is actually written into the bylaws with a specific purpose and works year round. And so the goal for NAP is to have this committee to address the needs of young people and enhance their learning about parliamentary procedure. And so far, they have partnerships with the Business Professionals of America, FCCLA, so that's Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America, which is formerly FHA. That's interesting to know. And then Future Business Leaders of America, FBLA, FBLA Collegiate as well. And then HOSA, Future Health Professionals, and then Skills USA. Now, I don't know where NAP is as far as reaching out to FFA. That is something that I'd be interested in learning about. Anyway, and I've noticed recently there was a really fun activity that they had, a virtual activity for all, high school and young adult ages. And I look forward to seeing a lot more of those. And if I come across those, I will share them both on my Ask a Parliamentarian website and in Telegram. So I have a website that's in process, so I'll post it on there, but you can also find that information on Telegram under Ask a Parliamentarian or Right Choice Campaign Management, which is my business. I also have Facebook groups for that as well. So, okay. Now we're going to go on to membership, because I want to share with you how you can become a member if this is something that you're interested about. So membership benefits. This is one thing that, why even become a member? Because there are a few steps that it takes. You do have to pay dues and you do have to take a test. But by doing that, you get an opportunity to network with people, like I said, from all over the country. And also particularly just people in your area that enjoy parliamentary procedure, that are using it for some reason in their club or in their group or their church. And it's really been fascinating to me to connect with other people and hear about situations they go through. And very often when I learn from someone else because of something they've gone through, before long, I run into that same situation myself. And I'm like, hey, I remember so-and-so went through this situation. This is how they handled it. It also gives you just that networking of, and very often there's, I'll come across an idea like, hey, we could do this. What do you guys think about this? And, they'll shoot me down and they're like, actually, Wendy, maybe consider this. Anyway, let's see. We also have publications. Every quarter, the National Association of Parliamentarians puts together, do I have it here? No, I don't. A little booklet called the National Parliamentarian, just with a couple games and then really good articles and news and updates. And that's where it also lists who the new members are, who are the new registered, or credentialed people, that sort of thing. Educational materials, seminars and workshops, conferences and conventions, all the time, lots of different ones. Professional credentialing, of course, and then liability insurance for those who are registered or professional registered parliamentarians. So the way to become a member has actually become more simplified now that they've focused on trying to make it a lot easier and bring it online. You can go to this apply now. So apply to become a member. You can go click on that. And you fill out an application, you pay your dues, and then you choose an exam date. You choose what type of member. Unless you're a student or in active military, you're just a regular member. You write down your primary association. If there's no association in your state, then you'll be a member at large. And then you choose an exam date. I can't remember if they give you an exam date. I do know that they have multiple times going on throughout the year. They do say, be sure to allow 15 days for processing. And then pay your dues, and there you go. And then once you take that test, they send you emails, or in preparation for the test, they send you emails. There's a mock exam. They help you to know how to download the software for it, and that sort of thing. Anyway, it's pretty streamlined, not too bad. Here's the 3 different types of membership. There's a regular member, that's what I am right now, the entry level. And you can, oftentimes regular members typically serve as a parliamentarian in the organization that they belong. A registered parliamentarian is what I'm doing, or what I've tested to. You have to be a member to get to the next level. And it says they're authorized to market themselves as credentialed parliamentarians. So no longer will I have just parliamentarian, I will be a registered parliamentarian. And then of course, professional. is the final step up there. Okay, the dues structure. Of course, everything has dues, but it does come with a lot of benefits. So a regular member, it's $84 a year. It's prorated, so if you join halfway through the year, you only have to pay half of the dues. Registered members, of course, and professional registered members, they provide that insurance, so it's a little bit more. Student members, they make the price a lot easier for students to lower that barrier. And then I really like this youth groups. It's only $30. So that is excellent. Okay, if you see up at the top, they have, I don't think you can see it behind this screen sharing thing, but there's like NAP portal and bookstore, whatever. Well, they have that also down at the bottom. So there's a bookstore, there's all sorts of awesome things that books and publications that you can purchase. There's a lot of them that are free. I was able to get some really cool, fun parliamentary games for free. Search documents and resources. NAP University is a separate platform, but connected with this, where you can go and watch a lot of the digital content online, which is fabulous. Upcoming events and highlights. Of course, renew your membership. Okay, that's it for there. What was the other thing I wanted to share? Oh, yeah. Okay, so am I logged in on this one yet? I'm trying to see. Okay, already member, find resources now. Okay. So yes, this is what I did want to show. This is actually under About, also not just for members, but if you go under here, About, and to Resources, this is the last page I wanted to show. Some excellent things. This right here is where you can find and download the membership study exam or study guide. And it's based on that yellow book, Robert's Rules of Order, in newly revised in brief. We'll see that. And it goes through, and of course it gives you quite a few questions, just multiple choice questions. And then at the very end, it will give you the answer key. And so, now does it give the pages at all? Yes, it does. So when you, especially if you wanted to, print this out, take the test, kind of just, on a whim, see what you get, and then go back and figure out which ones you did correct, which ones you did wrong. Or I kind of figured out, okay, which ones was I kind of squishy on, type sort of thing. And I studied all of those and looked up the different page numbers and made sure I was correct on it. And then I took the membership test and I passed it. It was pretty fun. So now, one thing is that I'm meeting with somebody who will help me with some marketing this week. I hope to be setting up very, very soon, within this next month, a membership course that I'll just continue. And it'll be online, just to help people from all around the state be able to come and study these specific principles to help you pass the membership test. And then hopefully, assuming that I am able to pass the registered parliamentarian, then I'm going to turn around and I'm going to turn that into a course and to help other people in our state be able to pass the registered parliamentarian course. Now, when it comes to our as I just looked up recently, I don't know if you saw on a previous screen, as a member, I can also find a directory of who is a parliamentarian all across the country. And so here in North Dakota, we only have 8 people who are members of NAP and only 1 registered parliamentarian. And honestly, I don't know him. I want to reach out to him and say hi and see if maybe we can work together on some stuff. And then anyway, so we only have 8 in in South Dakota. I think they only have 2 members. In Montana, there were 5. Now those, again, they're non-associated states. In Minnesota, of course, if you think of Minnesota and how they have so much Fortune 500 companies, it makes sense that there is a need for a lot more parliamentarians to help out with board meetings and organization meetings and conventions and things like that. They actually have 40, or I think it was 39 parliamentarians. So, okay. And then, okay. So remember how I told you that if you came across somebody that you felt like that was claiming that they are a registered parliamentarian or a certified a professional registered parliamentarian, that you can come here and make a complaint about it. So they do have some rules. If you want to, if you know, to guide what is necessary for making a complaint, just like you would for a complaint to the bar for somebody who's a lawyer who's doing some stuff that's not appropriate. Then there's also the complaint form, and that goes in right there. And then the final thing that I thought I'd point out, and I saw a pamphlet, I don't know where it went to, but something that I really like that NAP put together is what they call this body of knowledge standards for parliamentarians. They basically broke it down. If you are a member, these are the things that you need to know. If you are a leader, this is what you need to know from Robert's Rules to help you. If you are a parliamentarian, this is what you need to know. And so it's located in this body of knowledge, but there's more resources that NAP is producing and preparing just to break it down and make it a little bit more applicable, so that it's not just, oh, here, congratulations on being our new chairman of the organization. Here's a 1,000-page book. I don't know how many pages is in Robert's Rules, but it can get a little intimidating. So, okay. Let's see. So we've reached, oh, you know what? A thought just came to me. Well, our time is done. Okay, let's go ahead and end this. And I appreciate all of you. If you're coming and watching in, thank you for coming. And if you want to get a hold of me, here we go. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.